You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast,
delivering a player experience news.
Let's go! What is up, guys, and welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 276. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on Twitter, and I am joined over Discord by the Nintendo aficionado and artist extraordinaire, Roshan Warner, at Roro.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Good to have you
I've
back.
got a new nickname that maybe you could add on. I like it Nintendo aficionado because I love Nintendo and I like how it rolls off the tongue. But maybe you could add on hardcore casual as well onto this name. I think I've earned that now.
hardcore.
I've updated the
casual.
doc for you. Hardcore
Beautiful.
casual.
Thank you. Hopefully I can get rid of it someday where I could just be hardcore, but right now I think I've demoted myself to hardcore casual.
But you are an artist extraordinaire as well. So.
Thank you.
And the host of Large Popcorn and video producer at The Gamer, Christian Macias at ISO Christian.
And if I said I missed Roshan last week, then what? What would you do? Then what?
Let's say I missed you too.
We all missed Ro.
Hey, real quick, before you introduce this other guy, Ro, I made a prediction on your behalf, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Incredible. And the reformed Tarkov Teletubby and my fellow Spartan Gage Dempster at Gilbo Biggin.
reporting for duty, sir.
Eddie's Barton. Or I'll just get mad at you real quick because I'm Captain Del Rio, who's an asshole, and Christian now knows that.
Surrender the AI.
All right.
What did I do? Oh, yeah, I know what that is now.
Oh, were you listening? Do you even care about your friends to listen to their conversations? Boom. How's that feel? Right back to you.
Hold on. I didn't hear you because I'm going back on the live, and I'm going to go back to hear you like a real friend.
Wow. All right.
That was a good turnaround.
Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/@podcastpxn and twitch.tv/podcastpxn as well. I see Carrick there. Thank you, Carrick. The topic of the show this week is our 2024 Game of the Year discussion. We've made it. We're also going to talk about our discovery of the year as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. The 2024 Game of the Year, guys. How do we want to start? Do we want to end with Game of the Year, or do we want to end with Discovery of the Year? Which one do you guys want to do first?
Dude, there's arguments for both. How we feeling?
I would vote for ending with Game of the Year.
Okay. What about you guys agree?
I'm cool with that, but when do honorable mentions come around? You know what I mean?
In
Started with
between.
Discovery.
I would say in
Okay,
between.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah, I would like to do that.
All right, let's start with Discovery of the Year then, guys. And apparently, we've already hardlined this, what Discovery of the Year is, and Dan doesn't remember. So Dan's going to ask a question of the panel here. Discovery of the Year. If the game comes out in 2024, but we don't experience it right when it comes out, does it not count as a Discovery of the Year if you play it like months later?
If the game released in 2024,
Especially if
you played it for the first time in 2024,
yep.
it gets put into the Game of the Year category.
Okay.
If a game released either in early access or fully released in any other year, and you've experienced it for the first time this year, it is your Discovery of the Year.
Now, let me pitch something.
Okay.
What if you don't even know this game existed? You didn't have any idea this game existed, and it releases, beginning of the year, and then the end of the year you're playing it, and you discovered it.
Game of the year.
You still think
No, it's game of the year. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Why would that be Discovery?
Because
Okay,
you're
I see what's
discovering.
happening. There's a game that you really love and has a special place in your heart, but you don't think it's quite up to the caliber of Game of the Year. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, basically. Yeah.
Sounds like an honorable mention.
That's such a no. That's a way of getting around it.
I'm not trying to get around it. I'm just saying, like, in my mind, that's a valid thing. Like, I played a game at the end of the year that came out at the beginning of the year that I had no idea existed.
You discovered it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, congratulations. You just played a game that is eligible for Game of the Year.
Right.
I think
I'm not saying it's not
Rose
eligible. Yeah.
Right, I think Rose right where this is probably you'd want to put it in the honorable mentions category because I think it does qualify for Game of the Year, but if you don't think it's up to snuff, then that would leave it as an honorable mention.
It's like, hey, there's a movie I missed in January, but I didn't watch it until the Christmas holiday with my parents.
But did you know it existed? That's different. I think that's completely different.
No,
right.
No, you're using the definition of the word discover in that. Right?
Right. Yeah, discover.
That's not what we talked about with Discovery of the Year when we first came up with the category.
Well, that's why I was asking the question. I'm just having a conversation here. Calm down. Calm down. We're just having a discussion.
I see what you're saying, Dan. Discovery of the Year, I think when we pitched, or us, whatever, pitched it, is that it's like a chance to award a game that didn't release this year, but you've just played it for the first time.
Okay, that's fair.
I see what you're saying, because you discovered a game from this year.
Right. That I had no idea existed.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that would still nominate it for Game of the Year.
Okay. Fair enough. I wasn't trying to say it didn't exist. It shouldn't be in Game of the Year. I'm not saying it shouldn't be eligible for that. I was just saying, like, man, this is something I discovered. And yes, we good. All right, I will eliminate those. I will. I'm only gonna have 2 games for Discovery of the Year. Then, with that being said, so
okay, I
don't have anything else. So
you're gonna have to pick one as the winner and one as the honorable mention.
Right. Well, we're doing the thing.
Are we each only picking one?
Oh, right. We're doing the score thing, right? Where we all input it. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't we have to go to a website for that?
A website for what?
Isn't that how we did it last time, right?
What I thought is, so Game of the Year and Discovery of the Year was, and you guys can tell me if you want to do it differently. What I was thinking is we would have 3 to 5 games for each one. And if you don't have that many, that's fine. But your best game of the year would get, 3 points.
The most points.
1. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Weighted, whatever.
Right.
Absolutely.
Although now that I'm saying that out loud, I guess we should have a definitive number of games to select, because if one person has their number 1, they would be, and they have 5 games, they would be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But if someone else has 3, it would only be 3. You see what I mean? It would be
1, 2, 3. Yeah, exactly.
I could have sworn we've done something like this in the past for Game of the Year, and we used a website where we typed in, and then somebody had the score. Is that not ringing a bell?
No. If anything, maybe I did like a sheet, like a Google sheet, and I scored it that way. But I mean,
yeah, okay, it could be that. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, how about this? 5 games, but if you don't have 5, that's fine. But your number 1 game gets 5 points for everyone. Your number 2 game gets 4, 3, 2, 1. So everyone, if you have 3 games, it'd be 5, 4, 3, etc. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. What does everybody have, though? If everybody only has 3 games, we could just do 3. I only have 3 for each.
I have 3 for Game of the Year, and I only have 2 for Discovery of the Year. So,
Ro, how many do you have?
I have like 1 for each.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I didn't play that many. Yeah, I can't. I'm okay with withdrawing. I could just be here for the conversation because I don't have like a lot of games, so I could like just be here for the vibes.
Bitch,
I don't want to.
You're not just being here. You're not just being here for the vibes. Your game counts.
But if we're doing the points thing, then my 1 counts for 5,
Yeah, that's
and that
fine.
might like upset it.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I can knock my list down to 3, which I think is preferred for me because my 4th and 5th spotted, whatever. That's fine.
Okay.
So in that case, should we just do 3, 2, 1?
Yeah, we could do that.
All right, cool. That works.
3, 2, 1. Rose is worth 3. Perfect.
Discovery, I got tons of games, man. I'll pick 3.
Tons of games. Jeez.
For Discovery of the Year? Yeah, absolutely.
All right. If you've got tons, you want to kick us off, Christian?
Yeah, I can do that. And you said 3,
Yeah.
right? Okay, for Discovery of the Year, I'll give you my top 3, or I guess my number 3. A little game that I think Gage recommended to me. Off the cuff randomly. I remember one game night you had gone to sleep early because that's what you do. And Gage goes, let's get into this game that I had seen somehow in some kind of list. And I was like, I don't know. This looks like whatever. It's on sale, whatever. Let's check it out. And it was Abiotic Factor. And it's still in early access. I don't think 1.0 has come out yet, but they're ramping up for their next big update, and I think 1.0 follows suit. So I think at some point in 2025, it'll release in 1.0. And yeah, dude, that game absolutely rips. We talked about it enough on the podcast over the last couple months, but every time that Gage and I would play, we would be saying the same thing every couple of minutes, which is like, man, these devs get it. Like, what a game. It was so enthralling as like a co-op survival game that it made me interested in its own inspiration. So I went to go play Half-Life over the Christmas break, and I was like, yeah, I have a way deeper admiration for what these developers at Abiotic are doing, because like they nailed tone, they nailed atmosphere, they nailed like intrigue through the lore, and it's just so fun, and it's a nice spin on the survival genre that I think has needed such a big spin, and that other developers are not doing. Leave it for these little indie guys to take what works and take what doesn't work and make it fun.
Right.
Good game.
And that's your 3-point pick?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay. Fuck.
Sorry, no, I'll do reverse order. No, that's my 1-point pick.
Okay,
Okay.
I wanted to clarify that.
That was my number 3.
Number 3.
So that makes sense.
Okay.
So 1 point.
1 point.
Abiotic.
Okay, gotcha.
Sorry if I confused. I'm sorry.
No, I was looking at the doc, and I just wanted to make sure if we're typing it down that we're all on the same page. Okay,
Right.
that's your 1 point.
Yeah.
Reverse order, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna clarify endpoints. All right. So I'll go next. My 1-pointer is actually I was not gonna have a 1-pointer, but actually I'm also gonna choose Abiotic Factor because I have fun with the lads. That's a factor. Had fun with the
It is a
lads.
factor.
Oh, that's a factor. I get it.
It's a factor, I guess. Yeah. That's an Abiotic.
An abiotic factor.
Anyways, yeah, it is a very cool, like old school style game that it has like PS2 graphics, and that's kind of what gives it a little bit of the charm. Like some of my favorite moments from Abiotic Factor are like the storytelling elements, which, to be fair, every time I play with you guys, I feel like we're trying to progress the story, but then we just we get enthralled with all these other things going on, and then I'm just like, I kind of tune myself out because I'm like, I really want to I care about the story stuff, but
I do too.
Yeah.
All right, let's sidebar in this podcast that we're doing real quick. What if the next time we played Abiotic Factor, right, we make a point to sit down and play it, I'll adjust some of the game sliders to kind of like tone back the survival, because we've played the game how it's supposed to be played for quite a few hours now. We get it. What if the next time we sit down, we decide to play it, I slide some of the sliders so that it's like we just go with the story. Turn down inventory weight, turn down durability of things so that we can just kind of go. Because I would like to see where the story goes.
Yeah,
And I'd like to do it with the lads.
Yeah,
I looked it up, by the way, and we're about like halfway.
So that's not bad.
And I remember exactly where we left off too. There's one thing that we need, and I know just how to do it.
Let's do it one of these nights, man. Let's do it.
Please.
All right.
Age.
My turn. My 1 point pick for Discovery of the Year is going to be the aforementioned Lethal Company, which for me is it's one of those games. I mean, I guess there's a lot of games nowadays that do this really well, but it's like one of those games where it's like, this is like the spirit of an indie game, where it's like super simple concept. We're not going to try and do a million things. We're going to do this one thing, which is co-op horror, and we're going to do it really well, and we're not going to worry about anything else. We're not going to worry about graphic fidelity. We're not going to worry about lore. We're not going to worry about any of this stuff. We're just going to make a spooky little fun game for you and your friends to play. And the amount of hours of entertainment I've gotten from this game, well, I really thought this was going to be one of those 1 or 2 weekend games, and then that's it. Is kind of I've definitely gotten my return on investment with this game. I love Lethal Company. I love it so much.
Oh yeah. Ro, would you like to wait until we get to the threes to do your three?
To do my one for each.
To do your number three. I mean, because
sure.
Sorry, your 3-pointer. I
sure.
explained that poorly.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay, so back to Christian for your number 2 or 2.
My number 2 my number 2 Discovery of the Year worth 2 points. Let me get the year on this game real quick. Sorry, un momento. I just had it here. Yeah, por favor. Where is it? Right here. The suspense. Ooh. Oh, that's why I'm in the wrong list. I was like, why the fuck can I not find it, dude? I was on the wrong list. Here we go. 2001, September 24th. Little game called Silent Hill 2. I played it for the first time last year in its entirety, and to my very pleasant surprise, despite, some obvious maybe outdated or control schemes and maybe a little bit of a antiquated combat system, I think it still stands the test of time as one of the best video games ever written. And comparing this game to the way games are treated today is night and day. This is like a capital T text of a video game. When I think of video game criterion collections, which is an idea I've been kind of thinking about for a while, like what we consider the canonicity of video games, this is one that I automatically go to almost every single time. Something that I think more people should play, and I'm not even talking about the remake. The remake is fine, but I don't think it even comes close to the original. That's Silent Hill 2, PS2.
Wow. Silent Hill.
Huge.
I thought for a second there you said 2001, and I was like, Halo Combat Evolved? Yeah. I was just kidding.
Was that 2001? Do you remember what month? What month was it? Tell me.
November 11th, I think.
Were you there? Were you there on that day? Were you on the
No.
planet Halo?
No, I was 9.
Whatever.
I was 9 years old. I didn't even have an Xbox.
When did you get your Xbox?
I got my Xbox Christmas Day 2004. So Halo 2 launched literally a month before that. That's when I created my Xbox gamer tag, and that is why I have my 20-year ad on my account.
That was last year.
It was. All right. My number 2 is looking very similar to Gage here. Lethal Company, number 2. I've had a lot of fun playing Lethal Company with you guys, despite yet again it being a very simple and basic type of game. The graphics again are like PS2 style graphics. It's crazy how many games we've played this year that are just super basic, super graphically basic, and yet they're so much fun because it relies on the communication with your teammates and your friends, and relies on that camaraderie and just craziness that ensues from being dropped on this random planet and you don't know what the hell you're going to expect. and you're running through a giant fucking field, and then a monster about 17 stories high is like guarding your fucking ship, and you're like, oh no, what the hell are we gonna do here? So yeah, a lot of fun with Lethal Company, a lot of screams, a lot of crying, a lot of chaos.
Oh my god.
It's exactly what you want from game night with the lads.
Exactly. Yeah. Gage, what's your
All right.
second one?
My number 2. This was a tough one. This was a really tough one, and I actually don't even know.
Oh.
My 2-pointer and my 3-pointer are near interchangeable. Oh, the stakes are so low. Why am I? Oh, I'm thinking
The
about
stakes
this.
are actually really high if it's the two I'm thinking of.
My 2-pointer.
Very high.
My 2-pointer is going to be a little game called Risk of Rain 2,
Whoa.
which released, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. But Christian recommended it, or we both suggested that we should play it. Something happened, but Christian was involved with the decision making of buying this game, and it is quite incredible. Really, really strong. Maybe the best roguelike shooter I've played, where I think it just blends both of those genres perfectly. It really understands, like some other games that we'll talk about later in the podcast. It leans into the gaminess of a game, which is not something that every game does. You have games like The Last of Us or like games from Rockstar that really try to be very immersive and sometimes are very restrictive of what you can do. And then you have games that recognize that they're games and they want you to kind of exploit the systems in them and break the game to kind of come up with these crazy builds. And Risk of Rain is one of those games where the more it's a steep learning curve, but once you get into it and you know what you're doing, it's quite a very fun experience from a technical standpoint where you can just absolutely exploit the systems to your benefit, and it feels extremely satisfying to do so. So that is my number 2 pick.
What was it?
Risk of Rain 2.
Combat Evolved?
Combat Evolved.
I told it he was contemplating between that and his number one.
Number
and
one.
I was like, it's a big decision because you choose one versus the other and it changes things. So
It does.
all right. Now let's go to
Oh, it's played up.
no.
Oh, fuck.
No, Gage forgot played up, I guess.
Look at
By gauging by that reaction.
Oh, fuck.
Have you messed
Somebody fucked up.
Have you messed up, Gage?
All right, I'll wait until see what everybody else does with theirs.
All right, Christian, what is your 3-pointer?
Yeah. For every Citizen Kane, there's a Jackie Chan police story, which is for me saying in video game terms. I think Risk of Rain 2 is also a fucking all-timer video game. Crazy that with even playing that game vanilla, I was almost immediately hooked once I realized like what the gameplay loop is and how permanently satisfying it is to go for a run and get your build going, and then just to endlessly do that over and over again. And that's before we even discovered how to get artifacts, what the artifacts do, how that changes the gameplay loop. And before even like what do you call those kinds of mods that we quality of life mods, where it's like it makes the game just a bit easier to go through. What an experience that was that I still think about constantly. Specifically the music, I think the electric prog rock score goes such a long way to create the fucking blissful ambiance that game permeates on a level by level basis. But my favorite thing about it is that the original developers like really understood that like the roguelike they wanted to create is not like, we want this game to be hard and it's going to be challenging. It can be, but it's like, I want you to get a build going to fucking break this game. And that, I think, is the major draw for it being an all-timer every single time. It's one of the reasons why I think another game that came out last year is also an all-timer, because that roguelite formula is break this game to the best of your ability. And that is where, like, the true fun lies. Risk of Rain 2 is so much fun. I constantly want to go back, and sometimes I will text Gage or mention that let's go back. But by that point, it's like already like almost 1 a.m. and he's like, I don't want to play right now. I want to go watch a movie. And it's like, fair. Well, I'll go to sleep. But that poll has been there the entire year ever since we jumped in together, and I don't think it'll go away.
Risk of Rain 2. Wow. Here we go. All right.
Oh, fuck.
My 3-pointer, guys.
Let's see it. See it.
You guys don't know this, but I've been hard at work behind the scenes playing. No, I'm just kidding. That would have been cool as shit to just I say I've been playing 60 hours of some fucking
game that we've never heard of.
It would have been cool that I played a game. Saram Wrap Brindle.
My 3-pointer is, of course, Played Up, and that is a game that came out in 2022, and Gage got me on that game, and as soon as I was on that game, I was like, Gage, this game's fucking stupid. I don't know what the hell. This is dumb. And then we played it, and I was like, this game is fucking unbelievable. And then Gage is like, this is a roguelike. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then I was like, wait a minute. It is a roguelike. And then that made me go play Hades, which honestly, now that I'm thinking about that, I just thought of that as well. So I kind of fucked up as well. That should have been on my list. Hades. Shit. I would have put Hades instead of Abiotic or Lethal. Actually, I would have moved Lethal Company to 1 and put Hades at 2. But oh well. Anyways, Played Up is my number 1. That game is so much fun. Just the craziness of the kitchen and the chef yelling at the waiters and waitresses to get their shit together to serve their customers. Yeah, exactly.
Oh no.
Get their shit together.
Pie on the burner too long.
Yeah, screaming because you left food on the burner and it burned, and then you're like, I'm out of counter space. What do I do with this? And you're throwing it into a sink for some reason, even though it doesn't make sense, but you're just trying to get rid of it.
I love that Dan's Discovery of the Year is the game where every time we'd play, at some point, he'd just nod off. He'd be in the corner, and then we'd be like, Dan, the food. He'd be like, huh? What? And then he would immediately lock in for 5 minutes.
That's true.
Now, to be fair, that's because that would be at like 2 or 3 a.m. at the end of our gaming run, and then I'd be tired as shit.
I was gonna say, to Dan's credit, that's almost always after like 3 or 4 hours of Played Up that he's nodding off. So I mean, you're putting in the work, and nothing brings me more joy than the fact that you are like stone cold, out cold, asleep, and somebody says, "Dan, the pizza," and then you do just kind of in a zombie-like trance.
I'm back.
Just sprint back to the oven, throw the oven out, grab the new pie, throw it in the oven.
Sometimes I think you would perform better there than you would at the beginning of like our play session.
Wow. Going well under pressure while asleep.
It's the trance. You're in the zone.
Guess so.
This.
What's your 3-pointer? You fucked up as well. I fucked up.
I did. Well. But unlike you, I have the chance to redeem a bit. But I'm not gonna modify what's already down. But now I'm left with the horrible choice for number 3 or number 1. Oh my god! 1 second. Let me look at the points here. Oh my god!
Oh, do we have a thing up somewhere?
I just have it in the doc. I'm typing in.
I don't want. I'm not gonna look.
Okay.
It'll be a surprise for me.
All right.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do something absolutely crazy. No.
Shit.
What is Ro gonna do?
Struggling to figure it out.
What is Ro gonna do?
You know what's fun? Oh, I'm not gonna say it actually.
It pains me to say this, not because the game doesn't deserve it. This game does deserve it, but the other one also deserves it. But I'm gonna have to just say it. My 3-pointer is also Played Up. What an incredible game.
Wow.
And just like the other indies on this list, this is something that focuses entirely on what it needs to focus on and does not attempt to do anything else. Absolutely zero lore to be found in this game at all, right? Don't story, voice acting, don't need it, don't care, doesn't matter. But what it does have is a very simplified and easy to use system. There's 2 face buttons that you have to use in the game. That's it, and there's movement, but it all comes together in such a pattern that, oh my god, it creates so many insane moments and memories of, like you said, Dan, yelling at each other in these high intensity moments with these little cartoon characters running around trying to serve these nondescript blobs from eating at the restaurant. And similar to and another pattern that we have going with this list is also a game that allows you to break it, where you can end up having this dystopian robotic assembly line pumping out all your food for you while you sit in a corner and do nothing, which is kind of morbid and dark, but it's amazing. And I mean, some of the memories of you and I staying up. This is the one game that I can think of, Dan, where you and I outlast everybody. Everybody else goes to sleep some weekends, and you and I stay up thinking, you know what? I bet if we change that to a rotating grabber and switch that to a cloner, we could probably maximize our efficiency by 0.3%. What a game, man. It's got to be played up for me. It's got to be played up. An incredible game. I think also another game that was just made by one dude. So very cool to see. You love to see it.
You know what's great? If you had Abiotic Factor in there, would that be at number 2 and then Risk of Rain at 1?
That is what my list would be, but I'm okay to just leave it. I'm okay to leave it, but that is what it would be.
It's interesting because if that would have happened,
Wait, why would you flip those?
No,
no, he fucked up.
I fucked up.
He forgot Abiotic Factor.
No, I know, but when you said your thing, Daniel, or unless you read it in reverse order,
he would move Risk of Rain to the 1 pointer, and then Abiotic would.
Wait,
be
what? But Abiotic would be the. Why did he flip? Because when he first said it, Abiotic was 1 point.
No. I was deciding for my 3-pointer between Abiotic and Played Up.
Yeah.
I forgot about Played Up. I didn't forget about Abiotic. So Abiotic was going to be my 3-pointer. Risk of Rain, my 2-pointer.
Yeah.
Lethal Company, my 1-pointer. But I forgot about Played Up. So that shifts everything down.
This calling the games pointers throw me off.
Yeah.
Right.
So
You're right, Dan. You are inside my brain, though, Dan. That is what I would do. You're right.
What was your third place? I'm forgetting.
Lethal Company.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which really it wouldn't have changed anything except for like the runner-ups, I think. But maybe Ro has a surprise here for us. Ro, what's your 3-pointer?
My 3-pointer. So as you guys know, and the viewers can probably tell as well, I didn't play a lot of games last year. And most of my gaming that I did last year was with you guys when we went to 250 at Dan's house. So a lot of my discoveries of the year are similar to yours, games that we played together. And I shit you not, the only game that I have on here is Played Up.
Wow!
And that's only because I played Guitar Hero, and I know we played Rock Band, and technically those are different games. So I didn't want to include that, but I had a lot of fun with Rock Band. But technically, I played Rock Band for the first time with you guys too. But even if I were to include that, Played Up would still be the most fun that I had, and it was the most unique game that I had played that year. But yeah, I enjoyed playing it. It was chill, but as you guys mentioned, also chaotic at times. So it was like best of both worlds. I liked how deep it could get if you wanted it to, with what Gage mentioned with the automation. And even though I wasn't like in the trenches, I was able to feel like I was still like contributing with like either doing the dishes or doing like there was always a task for someone to do, no matter how small, which made like the game feel, I don't know, more fun, I guess. But yeah, it was a good time. Played Up was fun. It was fun.
Oh yeah, a legendary pick. I did not expect that.
That's the night I took a picture of Daniel like passed out on his couch after like one drink. And then he went to the bathroom, and then he forgot that he went to the bathroom. Naughty boy, dude.
That's why.
Wow.
Yeah, Dan does. That's why Dan doesn't drink. Dan is a lightweight. Glenn says, "I'm honestly just surprised to hear Daniel plays anything other than Halo." You know what, Glenn?
That's a burn.
That's a burn. All right, so that is our discovery of the year for 2024, and the winners, guys. The winner with 9 points is Played Up. Legendary run. Coming in a close second. I say close, but it was kind of not, I mean, I'm just kidding. Risk of Rain 2 got 5 points. Very respectable. Lethal Company got 3 points. Silent Hill 2 got 2 points. Abiotic Factor also got 2 points. Had Gage not fucked up and had I not fucked up, things might have been a little bit different there. But,
Correct.
That's it. All right. On to the big moment here. The game of Christian.
Please.
Sorry. Yes, I know what you're going to say. The game of the year segment, but we will first go over some honorable mentions for game of the year.
You're so cute, dude.
There you go. Honorable mentions. Christian, what do you got for honorable mention?
Oh no, does anyone else have any others that you want to mention that maybe?
I do not.
Okay. We're doing 3 for game of the year?
Yep.
Okay, then I'll mention some honorable mentions real quick. This game, I think, were it eligible, I think you and I, we all had private conversations about whether or not to include this game. I think we made the choice to not include DLC in games of the year. So in honorable mentions, it goes is Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree. I think calling that game it'd be more of the same, I think, is a disservice to doing to talking about what this game is doing in conversation with like base game Elden Ring. I don't think it's more the same. I think it is building off everything that From Software has done with their legacy and doing things with a twist in it. And it is the first time since like maybe Dark Souls 1 that level design has really impacted how you progress through that game and influences the way you think about that game. It is, I think, both the most frustrating thing they've ever made and also one of the best. It is crazy what that team continues to achieve. And they have way more games in the pipeline, including an Elden Ring fucking co-op roguelite that is, I can't wait to try out. I wanted to shout out Mouthwashing as well. That was like a throwaway game that I like downloaded on my Steam Deck after hearing some people like talk about when it like first launched. And I checked it out, and it is up there in terms of like one of the best narrative games of the year last year, which is crazy because my actual pick for like the best narrative of last year is on my top 3. This game is good. This is like one of the best horror games I think I've played in recent memory. Certainly maybe like top 10 horror games ever made. And it's like so short, so good. And I wanted to shout out 2 more games. I'm sorry. I Am Your Beast, which I played that like off the backs of Risk of Rain 2. And like this is like an FPS that is like all adrenaline. I think I was streaming part of it for Gage. I have some clips. I was like, yeah, this game is like combos and like stages and like how good are you at like flicking your mouse and getting headshots and parkouring through a stage. It was so much fun. And then my last honorable mention is a a small game from this team from Northern England, published from a small publisher here in Portland, and it's a comedy game. It's a game called Thank Goodness You're Here. Thank Goodness You're Here. It's a game about this like little tiny yellow dude who looks like a Simpson character who shows up in this small English town that has a separate dialect. And the game gives you the choice of using dialect or English. And you just like fuck around the town for like 2 hours, and it is an actual comedy game that is using the genre, not doing the comedy and first person shooter and comedy and something else. And it is one of the best experiences I had of last year. One of the funniest games that I've played in a ever. There's not many comedy games that I can think of. Yeah, dude, thank goodness you're here. This is a game that I think literally everyone should play. If you're in the mood for like a short 2 hour experience and just doing something that's, off kilter.
Oh yeah. Honorable mentions, anybody else?
I'm gonna say this one because I played it this year.
Yeah.
But it was from last year. So it was Sonic X Generations. Sonic X Shadow Generations. I got to play thanks to Dan. And yeah, I've been having a blast. It's fantastic. The shadow levels are so freaking fun. And I'm just happy that Sonic is where it is right now. Very popular, and I think it feels like it's back on the up, which is good with the many peaks and valleys that it has had. So we're bound to go down again soon, but so far so good. I'm having a good time with the game, having a good time with the series. So yeah, Sonic X Shadow Generations is my honorable mention for last year, which it would have been if I had played it last year anyway.
Well, that's fine. We do you know what I mean? Like the Oscars aren't until March. People don't watch the Oscars movies until then.
That's
you know what I mean?
And if we had it our way, the Game Awards would be in January. So you're right.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Remember that time you saw my Sonic 3 letterbox rating and
Yeah, I remember.
and shared it, and I felt yeah,
Oh my
felt
goodness.
like a dick.
No. I like your honesty. My goodness.
I just want to say, I'm glad that both of you have enjoyed my Christmas gift that has been sent to you. Meanwhile, when you said that, it just reminded me yet again that Gage's gift still hasn't been delivered, and I just looked it up. It still hasn't updated since, well, you can't fucking see it on here, apparently.
That's a white screen.
Oh.
There you go.
it just
January 10th. It's
now
still
it's
sitting in fucking Melrose Park, Illinois, even though it says processing completed at origin. I don't know what the fuck's going on, so I'm sorry, Gage. I don't know where the fuck it's at.
Does that mean you can just tell me what it is, and then if it never
No.
gets here, I can?
I'm not telling you because it's gonna
I
get there
can't-
eventually, I hope. If not,
You're
I'll be-
tearing me apart, Lisa. You need to tell me what it is.
Can't tell you.
Can't.
That's crazy. It's
His hands are tied.
it's there.
It's there. It's been there for fucking since December 16th when it was
It's
scanned.
in somebody else's house right now.
Yeah, it got scanned in and then fell off a truck.
Here's what I don't understand though. It was scanned December 16th in Melrose Park, Illinois, and then it says the very next update says label created in Irving, Texas. How does that make sense? And then it appears magically back at Melrose Park. I don't know. What
If you told me
gotta
what the
contact
item was,
somebody.
I would be able to confirm whether or not somebody yoinked it. Because if it's anything that's neat or cool, that
It's-
got yoinked.
I mean, it's not. People wouldn't know what it is. Like, it's not like, it's not like
A new item.
Yeah, it's not like a console.
Right, okay.
It's not like
Right. No, yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to. I'm gonna have to reach out to support again, I guess. I told you the last time I reached out to them, literally 2 days after that was when it updated and got scanned again on January 10th or whatever. And annoying. All right. Anyways, back to the
January 6th.
January, whatever date. No, it was January 10th.
No, I'm making a joke.
Oh, the fucking president. Got it. Game of the year, Christian. What is your number 5 game for 1 point?
We're doing 5? I thought we were doing 3.
Number
Because everyone else had 3.
Number 3 game for 1 point. Sorry.
Yeah. My number 3. My number 3 is on this list is 1000 Times Resist, which is an indie game from Fellow Traveler and Sunset Visitor. It is like 10 chapters long, each about an hour long. And I've made a video on it that I think is my favorite video that I've made at work. It was recognized by a developer there. A developer at TGA recognized me for it, and it was so cool. One of the highlights I think ever of my TG career. And still, I cannot explain to you what this game really is, because the game is a lot of things. The short of it is, it's this near. What is that called? What is that genre called? Graphic
Realism?
Visual novel. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. It is nearly like a visual novel. It's mostly text-based, but it is a sci-fi game about the end of the world, where a teenager lives forever in the wake of an alien invasion, and 1,000 years in the future, Iris, that girl, is a god to what is basically an entire army of her clones, and you play as one of those clones called Watcher, who goes into the memories of Iris, the All-Mother, and witnesses events from her past. And it is one of the most beautiful games I've ever gotten to experience. It is so much more than what I'm pitching you, and it resonated so deeply in me, despite the game being so much about like Asian immigrants into like the Western Hemisphere, into like Canada, specifically Toronto, I think is where the game is supposed to take place. But even as like a son of Mexican immigrants, I found so much to relate to that. Like it made me think back to my own upbringing through some of the dialogue. It's a special game, and it will go down as, like, I think, one of the defining games of this generation that will get its moment in the sun. And it has been over the course of the last couple of months. More and more people have been discovering it. It had its best-selling month ever after it didn't get nominated at the Game Awards because people were talking about it. So, yeah, very happy that more people check it out. I hope it continues to grow and find more of an audience. Good game. Good game.
I just want to roll back to when you were looking for the word and I said realism, and then I looked up the game and I was like, yeah, he's not going for that. I had no idea
I said graphic.
Right.
Thinking like a graphic comic or something. Yeah. You were trying to help me out. I understand. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So my number 3 game for 1 point is going to cause some controversy here between a couple of the people, and I'm going to get some head shakes for this, but you know what? It is what it is.
Call of Duty.
This was a weak year for me personally, for my type of game. So I will say my number 3 game is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and I get a little scoff by Christian as soon as I say that.
No. I'm in the minority on this one.
Okay, all right. But thus far, and to be clear, I haven't finished the game yet, and I tried, and I didn't realize I was gonna paint for 3 straight days at my sister's house, and literally spent, I'm not even kidding you, 12 hours every single day there, and that's not a joke. I was there from nearly 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. all 3 nights. Anyways, didn't have a chance to finish it yet, but everything I've played thus far, it very much is resonating with me in terms of the story, especially. And for me, like, especially right now, I'm in a mode of wanting to play like a very story-based game. So sometimes I'm in different modes and different moods, and I have to be in a mood to play a game that is mainly just story-based, but I was in that mood playing this game, and I'm loving the story thus far. And I'm not even a big Indiana Jones fan. So just, experiencing the story for the most part for me is what's exciting. And as I talked about in previous episodes, some of the side quests are like really interesting to me, like even more so than like some of the main quests where they are kind of a bit more straightforward. Like some of the side quests, you go off and you do like these different puzzles that I feel like are more intriguing and interesting and have more interesting backstories as you go through them. And I find a lot of fun in like exploring the tombs and that kind of stuff. So it's very cool. So yeah, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Gage.
I also am gonna get a few head shakes for this, Dan. So I'm right there with you.
Oh, it's gonna be
It was a weak year for me as well. In terms of playing games that actually released this year, I've been crushing indies, but for 2024 releases, it's been pretty soft for me. My number 3 pick, worth 1 point, is gonna be Call of Duty. I'm just kidding. It's not. It's gonna be Dragon's Dogma 2.
Well,
Stamina up.
Stamina up. Pummel Party.
That's the right one.
Is that it? I finally did it. Yeah, I was really looking forward to this game, and although I don't think it quite lived up to the spirit and the sort of just absolute enthralling immersion I had with the first game, it didn't quite live up to that, but it was a really impressive game in terms of being an action RPG and really doubling down on the features that make that genre, whether it's its own genre or you want to call it a genre mix-up, what makes that special. Lots of really colorful, interesting attack moves. Not a lot of reused animations. Like they really went all out with some of the combining certain skills and classes and stuff like that. And I had a lot of fun with the game, with the time that I spent with it. So, I mean, definitely one of the stronger games I played this year. Not as strong as I wanted it to be, but a really great game, a really beautiful game, and also a very impressive sequel. It's the type of sequel I want to see more of, which is that we're not trying to redefine things. We're not trying to completely change and sweep the rug out from under people. It's like we're going to take what people loved about the first game and we're going to expand upon everything that everybody loved, and we're not going to worry about filling it with other nonsense. So a strong sequel and a really fun game that I spent time with this year. Dragon's Dogma 2.
This is a game that if I were like 13 and bought it like on a sale, but also didn't have money to buy any other game for like 3 months and like was on summer break,
It would change your life.
it would be like, holy shit, this game is fucking awesome. And I would love
Right.
the shit out of it forever.
Right.
But I'm an adult and it came out at a time where like a bunch of other games were coming out. So I played it for like 2 or 3 weeks and had fun with it.
Yeah.
Done.
Exactly.
You know who really loves this game? Kirik in the chat. He says Dragon's Dogma 2 is an awesome game.
Hell yeah, Kirik.
There you go.
Some people were freaks with her character creator. I would like get these pawns and they would just it would just be ass, you know?
Just hanging out.
And
Yeah.
then, you can like grab them and then it's just like your character's walking around with the pawn, their ass hanging out.
Jesus.
They're filthy over there, man.
And Ro, you said you just have one for this too, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I just have one for this one.
Okay.
Throw in Sonic Generations, huh? Number 2, huh?
I could. No one else is going to, so it'll be on the list.
Yes,
It's
Just
true.
will make it.
All right.
Give it those 2 points. Hell yeah.
Well, once we
Why
get to
not?
2, I'm gonna ask you again. Then you better give me that. You better give me that, and I'll write it down.
Bro, make Fortnite your number 3.
Oh goodness.
Fortnite. The fuck?
Yeah,
Fortnite didn't come out this year.
yeah, you're right.
It came out many, many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Discovery of the year.
Discovery with.
Fortnite. I've discovered this game.
I've discovered
I just
Fortnite.
figured.
Incredible. All right, Christian, what is your number 2 game with 2 points?
If I'm gonna be so real, I have to preface this by saying something. I've been in agony over my number 2 and my number 1 since before even this podcast, when it came down time to like do it for the gamer and stuff. Because I think these my next two are so special, but I'm about to break some hearts, but my number 2 pick is a game that I think will forever be an all-timer. The way I think Risk of Rain 2 for me is an all-timer. The way I think Rocket League is an all-timer. This is a game that will forever be like endless fun. I can go back to pick it up whenever, and it will still be just as perfect as the first time I played it back in March, I think, when it first came out. What is this? What am I looking at? That's Balatro, baby. Yeah, you're playing the Apple Arcade version. Balatro is a literally perfect game. I don't think I can come up with anything that is wrong with it. If I had like nitpicks, it's like maybe the early game is a bit hard because it asks a lot of you to like get through all of it, but like it's a hard game and you're meant to experiment with different builds and different jokers, and you're supposed to have that meta progression of like you're getting better, here's a card to help you break the game, all of a sudden you're doing well, and now you have things in your arsenal that will like actually make you break the game. Hours 0 through 10 are already like addicting, but really it's hours like 20 to 30 where it's like, holy shit, I'm experiencing a level of fucking like poker bliss that I don't think I've ever kind of experienced before. I'm having a 5 of a kind re-triggering over and over again, and I'm scoring millions of points, and that's like sometimes it's not even enough to get me through the round. It is crazy what this game does, and I think the undersell of this game that I think people talk about, but like is not mentioned enough that I want to mention here are 2 things. One, the score. The score for this game it's one song on loop, but they change the theme depending on what you're doing. It's either playing around or opening a specific kind of pack. The music changes, but the whole time it is like mesmerizing and you're in it. And sometimes I would play it and feel like I feel like having a cigarette. You know what I mean? It's so fucking good. Sometimes I would hear it just randomly, and it doesn't matter. Sorry. But the other thing is the sound design. The clicks and the shuffling of the decks, I think, is so cathartic to my ears that like I think helps boost this serotonin that I get of just playing with the cards. And I'm not even like clicking them with like my mouse or even on my phone with my finger. I'm moving them with like the D-pad or the touchpad on my DualShock. But even still, like it feels tactile. It's so good. And again, crazy, made by one guy as a like a personal project. He's like, I'm gonna test this out. This is me learning game design, and he puts it out, and it is the biggest thing I think of last year. And the sales this guy has done is astronomical. I was talking to the publisher of this game in LA, and he's like, yeah, he can fuck off and literally do nothing the rest of our life. He's good. He also doesn't have to like provide us with any other game or do whatever. Like, what this guy did is astonishing, and I agree.
Oh yeah, I just downloaded it. Yesterday? I haven't played it yet though.
Your productivity is about to take a tumble.
All right. My number 2 game for 2 points. Can you guys guess it? Soap.
Call of Duty?
Soap. No, it's not Call of Duty. I was baiting you. It is Helldivers 2. My number 2 game. Christian gave me a wince that time, I think.
We should play that game again. I haven't played since the new update with the aliens. I would love to squad up.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this game, diving into action and just the crazy madness. I feel like half the games that I enjoy playing with other friends and such is just when there's just crazy madness happening, and this game absolutely has that when you can blow up your teammates just for the hell of it. And sometimes it's by accident, but sometimes, it's just for fun to watch them.
No, I take it back. I don't want to play with you. I remember what it was like playing with you. I don't want to play with you.
What do you mean?
Do you remember this is how the feud between Dan and Guy started? Is those two going at it in that game? Yeah,
I remember now. I don't want to play with you, Dan. I take it back.
I never killed you guys on purpose. I was kidding. It was accidental. I don't go out fucking, look, where's Christian at? Let me just kill. Unless we were fucking, targeting each other. That's different, I wasn't behind your back like, I'm going to get Christian right now. Beep beep beep. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, no, this game's a lot of fun. Just the craziness happening in it. So yeah, that's all I got.
All right, let's play again.
All right.
Time for my number two
For
pick.
democracy. Yes. Number 2 pick, Gage.
Well, guess what, Dan? My number 2 pick is Helldivers 2.
Wow, look at that.
For all the aforementioned reasons, good stuff, quality game design. Again, a theme that I'm noticing with me is that as I get older and as I, spend most of my life working a job that I don't really want to work, I appreciate the games that just do what they do and that's it. And they don't feel like a big bloated mess of make sure you log in every week to get your points for this event pass that we have so you can get all your bloody blahs and blah blah blahs. It's like, just here's the game. Here's all the battle passes. They're not going anywhere, by the way. And play it with your friends as you want. And there's a static progression that doesn't change every month that you can just kind of, if we pick up the game again, there's going to be a few things added, but everything that was there at launch will still be there. Yeah, just solid game design, really smooth. I think for a third-person shooter on controller, it felt really, really well. I remember praising that when the game came out, and I still think it's very worthy of praise because not a lot of games get that right. There's a lot of third-person shooters that feel very floaty, and the guns don't have any impact, and the sound doesn't quite match up. But this game does third-person over-the-shoulder aiming and shooting really well, really impressive. I think Arrowhead deserves a lot of praise for this game, and this game is one of those games that puts a studio on my radar, where now I'm going to be paying attention to the next Arrowhead game that gets announced, and I'm going to be following these guys very closely.
You're waiting a long time. The gap between Helldivers 1 and 2 was like a whole generation, just so you know. But no, not a whole generation. It was early PS4. But if I can chime in real quick, on my like real list of like top games of the year, Helldivers 2 is number 5, and I think my favorite thing about this is something that Gage was touching on, which is the design philosophy that I think is lost with a lot of major AAA publishers, which is like, let's produce a giant game that is a lot of things to a lot of people and can be like easily consumed, and we're gonna like hold the player's hand, and we're gonna like, not onboard them, but like make things be kind of like familiar and easy and not create a lot of friction. And I think that is what a lot of games get wrong. And I think that's where you get like a lot of games being kind of the same across the board. And I start to get maybe kind of blasé about a lot of major releases because they're not doing things that are risky or interesting. And Helldivers 2 came in with the vision, right, of being like, this is a hard game that is like purposely creating friction, but in that friction is where you get like a lot of the chaotic comedy moments, but really the gameplay fun. And they have on their masthead on the studio website is a game for everyone is a game for no one. And that philosophy has really rung true for a lot of the games that like I apply that to games, whether they apply that or not, throughout the year. And I think about them through that lens, and you'd be surprised. Like a lot of games don't do that. I think about Concord, and that game was not, I think it was trying to be a couple of different things. And I think that is one of the reasons why it ultimately failed and why Helldivers 2 stuck out for so long, is because it was unique, because it was singular vision, and people gravitated towards that because games just don't do that anymore, right? And so, yeah, I agree with you, both you guys, 100%.
All right. Bro, this is the moment. Oh, sorry.
One more thing. On my backlogged, I have my list open just so I can see it. But websites have ads, and there's a Forever 21 ad that is just like 15 women in underwear that just won't go away. So it's just like cycling these different women in underwear. I'm just like, cool. I'm trying to have this, conversation about this serious conversation about games. Just wanted to point that out.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
bro. This is your chance. Number 2. Do you have any games to go in number 2 slot?
Just to say that I do Sonic X Shadow Generations. Let's put it on there. Let's put it on the board. It would be, and I really am enjoying it. Having a great time with it. For all the reasons why you would like Sonic, there's nothing really crazy to add. Besides, I feel like the levels have become more cinematic and. Yeah, I just think that they're doing a good job listening to fan feedback for the most part, in making these games a little bit more fun and what fans want from the series. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the next mainline Sonic looks like from what they did with this little add-on for Generations, because it's like it plays like there's some parts that play like Frontiers, and obviously there's a lot of parts that play like Generations. So it's going to be interesting to see what the next one looks like. Yeah.
Oh yeah. More Sonic back in the fold.
Hell yeah.
Kirik says he just downloaded Bilatro on Apple Arcade. He's gonna see what it's all about. There you go. We got another.
There's like, I didn't know so many people had Apple Arcade. I didn't know it was like it's not huge or anything, but like I've heard a lot of people bring up Apple Arcade recently.
Can I say what got me to get Apple Arcade? Is that I got a little notification on my phone one morning, and it said, "Hey, you're paying $23 for your 3 Apple subscriptions. Do you want to just do Apple One?" And I was like, "Sure," and that includes Apple Arcade.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering if there's people out there in the same boat as me, where you just happen to have 3, because I've got Apple Music and Apple TV and one other thing.
Cloud.
You get the cloud thing, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what the third thing is. But they were like, "Yeah, you'll save $1 and you'll just get all these other things." I was like, "Sure, why not?" So
That's
now I've
kinda-
got Apple Arcade. Yeah, and it's what got me to really get into Bilatro. So thanks, Apple. Thanks, Tim
fuck you.
Cook.
I just bought Bilatro. I don't have Apple Arcade. I just bought it.
Fair enough.
Never mind the fact that I bought it for you.
I was trying to play it during the podcast. You told me not to.
I did say that.
All right, this is the moment. Christian, what is your number 1 game for 3 points?
Everybody else go?
Yeah.
Oh, Helldivers, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, my ass forgot, huh?
In
My
Sonic,
bad.
In Sonic
I did-
bro. Yeah.
I didn't listen because I'm a my number 1 I think is an all-timer for a different reason. And for it was so close to being my number 2 on this podcast, and Bilatro be my number 1, but I gotta keep it real. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is maybe one of the best puzzle games to ever exist. One of the best horror puzzle games to maybe ever exist. In the same way that I think The Witness is maybe one of like the most like influential games that I've played and kind of shaped the way I think about like game design. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes like takes that and gives it such a like horror psychological twist that I haven't seen done before. And then like changes medium constantly to the fact that I'm to the point where I'm to the point where I'm like constantly enthralled in the mystery of like what is going on in this European hotel. It also features one of the best skill checks in games. I remember in The Witness, when you beat that game, up to a certain point, I'm not going to give you one of the twists of The Witness. I'll leave that for you if you haven't played The Witness. But there's also a secondary thing that you can do. It's a challenge room, and that is the one thing that I could never beat. I've gotten it. You go through this like long hallway of puzzles, and in this hallway are all the puzzles that you've encountered on the island, and I could never beat the final puzzle. I knew how to do it, but it's a timed thing. You have like 3 minutes to do all the puzzles, and I could never beat it within that time. And that was 1 trophy away from platinum. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes does a similar thing where when you're beating the game, it is asking you questions to the larger mystery that you have been solving over the course of, let's call it 10 hours as you're exploring this giant hotel. And you're getting these little bits of information to solve different puzzles, and suddenly you're realizing that all the information you're getting across these different rooms are all like in dialogue with each other, and you're putting your notes to physical notes that I had. The game tells you at the beginning, like, this game is best played with the lights off and with a pen and paper handy. And I've got like pages of notes that suddenly I'm connecting in ways that I like didn't think about. And you get to this like end point where I'm like, holy shit, I'm realizing that it's not that the game was hard or that I'm smart, but that the game was designed in a way to make me feel like I'm smart for discovering the game through the puzzles. And it's like, what an interesting way to do a story. Never mind all the like, cool stuff that it does with the medium that I don't want to give away. But this is, I think, an actual 5-star game in terms of design, just as much as Balatro is. Like these motherfuckers, Samogo, really understood it. And they did. The last game they did was fucking Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is this like third-person on-rail rhythm shooter to completely pivot into a horror puzzle game is crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Currently,
It's good.
Currently, it's in. Oh, shut. Never mind. Scratch what I just said from memory.
I'm gonna wait for the Stars Hollow DLC before I jump into that game. But
Hey, I found out Lorelei Gilmore is spelled differently than the Lorelei in Lorelei and Laser Eyes.
is it?
Yeah.
I guess my joke doesn't work then, does it?
I'm rewatching Gilmore Girls, and I noticed that her name was spelled on a piece of paper, and I was like, "That's fucked up." It really fucked. I took a picture of it. It fucked me up.
Does it end in EIGH?
No, it's AI instead of EI.
I see.
All right. So now, guys, for the number one game for me that gets 3 points, now you guys can say soap. Right?
Oh, that's great. Sorry.
Gotcha. It's Astrobot, of course, is my number one game for 3 points. Astrobot, amazing game. I loved the heck out of it. The challenge levels especially were a ton of fun. Very hard, some of them, but got a lot of satisfaction of completing those levels especially. The music in the game was great. The mechanics of the game still feels great from Astro's Playroom. Just everything about the game just feels like a really good platformer. Like it's crazy to me now that like Astro is like my top tier platformer. Like I don't even think of Mario as my top tier platformer anymore. And that's kind of evident in me not even playing. I still have Mario Wonder still to play. And that's not to say Mario Wonder's bad. I haven't played it yet. It's just like Astrobot had me so enamored that, it kind of makes me forget about Mario in a sense. But yeah, this game is great. I loved every bit of this game and had a lot of fun with it.
I will not comment on the Mario bit, but I will ask instead to keep things positive. What is your favorite power up in that game? Because there's a lot of cool ones in that game. Do you have one?
Honestly, I'm trying to remember what the fucking power-ups are actually, because it's been so long since I've played.
I can give you two.
Okay.
That I thought were awesome. A cool runner-up, I think, is the little. Was it a duck or it was one? The one that helped you swim. I remember that being so cool because you would swim faster, but a penguin, but the legs were kicking, and it would like make the trigger like kick a little bit. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Just click, 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 you'd be swimming faster. But the VR headset that made things go slow-mo, I thought was wild, and I thought the levels they did with that were really fun. I love that they like used it like multiple times because oh yeah, this is a good mechanic.
Yes. Now that you say that, yes, the slow motion thing was probably my favorite because yes, you're right. Like the levels they made were designed specifically for that. And I remember numerous times me playing one of the levels with using the slow motion mechanic, and I kept failing at the same fucking point. And it was like, you have to time it like just perfectly and activate your time ability just perfectly to get it like so that these projectiles that they're shooting out don't hit you in a perfect way. Like, yeah, that I really liked those levels. But yes, I agree. All
Fun
right.
game, huh?
Yes, very fun game. Any other year, I don't know that it would be my game of the year, and that's not to like downplay it. I think it's a really great game, but like for me, it was just this year wasn't that. It wasn't a full of Dan game. I'll say.
You're a AAA guy.
Not always. No, I mean a lot of stuff is AAA, but not always. You know, if I'd known Played Up might have been 2022 game of the year. Who knows? You know.
You're a first party guy. I'm gonna put it that way.
Yeah, sure. That is true. All three of my games are first party games. All right, Gage, what's your number one game for 3 points?
My number one game for 3 points. The game that I think deserves the most recognition this year has to be the one and only Balatro. Yeah, I mean we've already talked about it quite a bit. I'll just say that I don't think I ever said it on the podcast because I didn't think it was something that needed to be said, but I will admit in the back of my mind that as the game of the year conversation started happening, I was like, what is this card game? What is this card game doing in this conversation? This seems a little silly. But I don't know about it, so whatever. I'm not going to worry about it. And then Christian buys it for me on Steam and I play maybe 15, 20 minutes of it and I'm like, "Oh, this is interesting. I don't know if I'm going to sit at the computer and play this." And like I said, Tim Cook reaches out to me personally and says, "Hey, buddy, I got a deal for you." And I'm like, "All right, Tim, I'll do Apple Arcade. Let me try this Balatro game on my phone. I got some downtime at work." And I think I've logged like maybe 40 or 50 hours in the last like 2 weeks with this game. It's incredible. It is, like we've said earlier, a game that is designed for you to break its systems and to exploit the fact that it is a game. It is a piece of software. And lately, those are the games that I'm enjoying the most. So Balatro is incredible. The amount of time I've spent with it. Not only have I spent so much time with it, but it's unique in the fact that almost all of the time spent with it, I'm at the same level of enjoyment and enthusiasm. Like I don't boot it up and ever have like a bad time with it, except for when you're at the end of a run that you thought was going somewhere and it suddenly doesn't. And then you get really mad and say, "I'm not playing this stupid game anymore." And then 5 minutes go by and you're like, I'll do one more run. Just to see if we can turn things around.
You're a little emotional guy, huh?
I am. I get emotional. And I'm an addict too, which is not a good combo. So, Balatro, checkered deck with the Bloodstone. Oops, all sixes. That is a. If I could put that into an IV bag and inject it into my veins, I would. So, Balatro is my 3-point game of the year.
Oh yeah,
All timer that game. Some would say.
All timer. Some would say. Some have said.
I think my favorite one, not my favorite, but like I think one of the most exciting, funny trends that I saw on TikTok. Not even trend, but like when those nominations went out at Jeff's The Game Awards, I saw like obviously that conversation was happening with a lot of people, people who were like not dialed into the games industry as like as deep as other people are. So you would see the TikToks of like, what the fuck is this game? Like, it is just a card game. Why is it nominated? And you would see the TikToks like, all right, just bought it. Let's see what this game's all about. And they would cut, and it'd be like hours and hours later. Sometimes the next day, like they started at nighttime, and the sun would be coming up, and like, okay, I get it now. And I saw countless videos of it's like, yeah, dude, it's that good.
It is. It really is.
All right, let's see if Roe has the number one game that changes this list completely. Let's see what happens here.
Absolutely does not. Yeah. I haven't played any of the games that you guys have played this year, unfortunately. So mine is going to be like, well, and that on the list, I mean. But Metaphor, yes, ReFantasio is my game of the year. And I won't say just because it's the only game that I but it definitely has something to do with it. But I love these types of games. I love the Persona games. I love Atlas games. So I have no doubt that this would have been on my list, even if I played the other games that you guys mentioned. At the very least, top 3. But yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic game. It elevates the Persona loop. There's a lot of great gameplay stuff, but it's the story, as it is for all the Persona games for me, that I look forward to the most. And Metaphors is probably one of the best that Atlas has done so far, in my opinion. And I think the questions, and unfortunately they can't really answer some of the questions that they ask, but I like that they ask the questions about racism and discrimination, and like the topics that they dive into aren't topics that I expect from Atlas and honestly Japanese games in general. So I think it's cool that they dove into that, and I think it's very important to have those conversations now, especially in video games where it's so freaking, it just feels like the community is so the opposite of what they're talking about in the game. So I think it's cool that they had those topics in the game. And just like I don't know, I just think the virtues of the main characters in that game are just some really admirable ones. So that's why I enjoyed it a lot. The story, the characters, and of course the gameplay. But yeah, I think more people, a lot of people did play it. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
People talk a lot about like the political meditations that game has, but you're right though. Like the game, but I mean, yeah, there's the setup of the game's politics first, but like immediately after, when you get to know the main protagonist that you're playing as, is like they throw in the race stuff very quick, and like that is, I think, what really situates you in that world as like on a personal level. It's like, okay, yeah, I hadn't seen Atlas do this before with the Persona series.
For sure, yeah, because a lot of them take place in Japan, and Japan is just like so one people thing, like trying to meld into society. There's no like a lot of individuality, and that's why the Persona characters are so much always outcast, because they are like they stand out. And but yeah, and I think empathy is like the biggest thing that this game is trying to push, and the types of people that play these types of games are usually the type of people, and I'm painting with a broad brush, so maybe I'm not taking the lesson that the game is trying to throw out there, but a lot of the type of people that play these types of games don't have that virtue, in my opinion. They don't have a lot of empathy, and I think the character that they have to play may put them in a position where they have to be empathetic and learn a little bit more about different types of people. So I think that's really cool that Atlas did that. But yeah, good game.
And that's at a time where we could use some more that kind of stuff.
I agree. Yes.
More empathy.
Yeah,
dude.
Yes.
All right, guys. Our countdown here for Game of the Year. We have a 3-way tie with 1 point each. Is 1,000 Times Resist, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and Dragon's Dogma. All 3 taking up the rear of our voting here. With 3 points each, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Astrobot, and Metaphor ReFantazio. All with 3 points.
Let's go.
And then number 2 on our Game of the Year list with 4 points, Helldivers 2 sneaks in there. And of course, that leaves number 1 with 5 points. Balatro is our PXN Game of the Year.
You got to play now, Dan.
I've got it downloaded. Rose got to play it.
I gotta play it. Gotta get Apple Arcade.
It's a game that anyone. That's the other thing with Balatro. It's a game that anyone could.
He's got a Switch.
Get into.
You got a Switch.
True. True. I bet you it's more expensive on the Switch.
By $2, I think. I think the app version is the cheaper version, like canonically. Or not canonically, you know what I mean? Canonically.
In the lore.
In the lore of the real world.
The App Store was $9.99, so I'm assuming it's $11.99.
It's $12 here, I think. I did check. I looked it up when you guys were watching.
Oh, okay.
Dude.
Or talking about it.
Let me buy it for you. I'm buying for you right now.
No.
No, I've bought Balatro for 3 other people. You'd be the 4th. It's fine.
Jesus.
I feel guilty if I don't play it.
You have to play it if he buys it for you.
Yeah,
that's true.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's how it works.
You played Sonic. You can't play Balatro.
That's true. It's a good point.
Couple of hands of poker before bed. You go meet me.
You're only gonna have to force yourself to play it for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then you'll want to play it.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Incredible.
I'll get it.
Actually, I'm not gonna buy it for you. That way you can draw.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I don't need more distractions.
Yeah. Have a healthy hobby.
All right. What do you guys want to do? Do you guys want to wait on the news that I have here because it may take us a little bit to get through it until next week?
We can just lump it in with next week's news.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
I'm
Okay.
good with that.
I'm gonna pitch you something in the After Dark as well.
Okay. For next week?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay. So then we will just jump right into fantasy draft check-in real quick here. Fantasy draft check-in, we have some action from the man that did nothing last year. Do you know who that man is?
Who's that man?
Man is
Oh, I gotta fix
Gage
this link.
Dempster. Okie Dokie Inc. on January 19th picked up multiple games here.
It did.
Christian might be upset about this one. He acquired game Rematch with a bid of $3.
I'm not upset about that.
He's
That is
not
such a big
upset.
question mark. No, I'm excited for it, but like I don't know how that team hasn't done multiplayer before.
Okay. And it may not come out now that Gage drafted it.
No, you can already sign up for the beta. It's
gonna be-
coming out.
I hope so.
Yeah. Gage also acquired Sea of Stars, Throes of the Watchmaker. I don't know why I paused there.
DLC.
With a bid of $3. He also acquired
First one got big scores.
Little Nightmares 3 with a bid of $3.
Wait, hold on. Why are you guys getting so many games? It's January.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
Christian,
it.
you're questioning my strategy, and I'm a 2-time winner, and I came in second last year.
He's the 2-time.
I'm the 2-time. Get on
We
my
have
level.
like
Get on my level.
PlayStation like question marks. We have Nintendo doing a hardware reveal with games.
I don't think PlayStation
Let's
knows.
slow our roll.
I don't think PlayStation knows what games are this year.
That's
I was
true.
gonna say PlayStation
Or this
doesn't even know
generation.
what business it's in anymore.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that next week. All right. And then one more game that Gage picked up. He acquired game, and this I thought about picking this up, and then I looked at the first game scores, and I was like, okay, all right. So he acquired game Ultimate Sheep Raccoon with a bid of $3. Of course, the sequel to Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Safe picks.
It's it gives you positive points. Sure.
And we've got 3 drops this year. I'm not worried about it.
That's
Everything's
fair.
going according to plan.
All according to plan. Keep your eyes out though. Next week, I guess not next week, but a week from Friday. Well, it is next week. A week from Friday, Citizen Sleeper 2 Star Wars Vector releases, and that is coming from Christian's publisher Rose Devil. A few days after that will be the following week, and Gage will have 2 games release, both Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Rift of the Necro Dancer coming February 4th and 5th. And then a week after that, we're getting into Dan's game, Sid Meier's Civilization 7 on February 11th, the day before my birthday. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rift of the Necrodancer, I think, is an interesting pick for Gage.
I'm expecting big points. Big points.
Big points. Like 30?
I think the first game scored in the high 80s, if I remember correctly.
But that was like a different genre. This is a like rhythm game.
I'm not saying it's not a gamble. I'm just saying that I'm taking the parlay.
in the parlay.
Facts. Big payoff, huh?
Hmm.
So Christian, last week you criticized me. Gage has 2 games left to pick.
No, I'm criticizing both of you. That is absurd work
2 games
for there being 11 months left.
I've got double that. I have 4 games.
It is kind of crazy when you put it like that. That there's 11 months left to this year.
And you have 2 spots left.
Well, I would
That is
argue
kind of crazy.
3, I guess, right? No, never mind. New game franchise. Yeah, 2 slots. That's okay.
I would argue the bigger
Perhaps I
thing.
judged you too harshly, little one, Daniel.
Do what?
Thanos, perhaps I judged you too harshly.
Oh.
I know
Gage
Thanos.
Gage has $71 left to spend on 2 games.
Damn.
We got to go back. We got to go
$30
back to the
each.
$5 thing next year.
Yeah, I mean that's
Well,
a
let's just
little
wait and
crazy.
see. If this is the closest game we've ever had at the end of the year, then maybe this is what we need.
True. 11 months left, huh?
Yeah.
You know what?
We still have the whole year left.
You know what's gonna happen, Christian? He's gonna bid on 2 big games for like $35 each,
Mhm.
and then he won't have
Mhm.
any money left to drop all the games that don't release
They
this
don't
year.
come out.
It costs
Yeah.
money to drop games, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Well,
I
to
forgot
pick
about that
ones
last
up.
year.
To pick ones
Oh
up.
yeah, to pick new ones up. Right.
Yeah. All right. So that's our fantasy draft check-in. Make sure again next week for more. What you got for me? I've got not much of anything. As I said, I was painting for 3 straight days at my sister's new house, so I haven't had a ton of time to play. So I apologize. I'm gonna become Ro's protege as the hardcore casual. I'm gonna be your protege, Ro.
Hell yeah.
Ro, what do you have anything for me? Anything?
I played more Sonic.
Nice.
Played more Sonic. But that is it. Still playing Pokemon TCGP. They're always releasing new updates, new cards, new multiplayer challenges. Still having a good time with that. There's a game that came out, I think last year. Let me see real quick. That I bought and I'm planning to play hopefully this weekend.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kirik. Oh, sorry to cut
Yeah, it
you.
came out. No, it's okay.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Fuck your game, bro.
Sorry, I read Kirik's comment and then he said I've had my trigger finger on the Refantasio game. Still haven't pulled it.
Oh, you should. You
You can download the demo if you haven't already. You can experience
too.
the first couple hours of the game,
Yes, that might be smarter.
and progress transfers over. So
I apologize, bro.
That's okay. The game that I'm going to be playing is called Until, and it is a visual novel sort of game. It's very much like
Doki Doki.
no, it is.
1000
Well, it
times.
is kind of like that, but there's the Toge guy, the Toge Productions team, Famitsu. Was a
Yeah.
part of it. I'm trying to remember
Yeah.
the game that he made before he passed. I don't remember what it was called, but it's very similar to that one. But it came out last year. I don't think it got a lot of buzz, but it's really highly rated on Steam. I've seen a lot of people, not like big outlets talk about it, but players talk about it being really good, really sad. So it's a game that I want to try. It's called Until Then. I already bought it, so I have to play it now.
What
yeah.
comes after? Is that what you were trying to?
No, wait, it might be. I played What Comes After, but I don't think it was fun. So that's okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's okay. No, it was a different one. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to talk about that.
Hell yeah. I played one match of Pokemon card game row. I played a
Thanks for the
PvP.
inbound.
You
Did you win?
okay.
I played one. Yeah, I won one PvP match, and I was like, "All right," and then I closed it.
And that was it.
That
You
was
got your win.
yeah. It was like
I'm
a
outta here.
basic pack too. It was like,
Like,
all right.
Hell yeah.
the The game that I was thinking of was A Space for the Unbound.
Oh yeah.
It's very similar to that.
Cool.
Interesting. Christian, what kind of spaces have you been abound with?
Your legs.
Oh God!
Trying to unbound the space between those legs.
Oh.
The fuck?
I got 6 games in what you got for me. But I will get through 2/3 of these fast as fuck, boy, so we can get to the 2 interesting ones that I think Dan is curious to hear about. The first is that I've been playing just more Balatro. I think by gauge, like getting really into it over the past, call it month, it's been like the excuse for me to go back as well too. So like, I get to talk to him more about it, and it's so fun. And last weekend when Daniel, you weren't around and these guys were playing, Marvel Rivals or whatever, I got to sit and just like chat with them and just sink way more time into it, and it continues to be fun. I will encourage you, Daniel, when you play it for the first time, is definitely immerse yourself a little bit. Like maybe dim the lights, maybe put headphones on for the first couple of rounds. Enjoy the sound design and the score as you play. I think it helps elevate the initial like pitch of it. I also played a bit more Prey, and I gotta say, I fucking am loving my time with it. But I am so upset that I like have work stuff to do that like I can't play more of it. So it's on my like shelf right now. Like I got to get back to this, and I can't wait to get back to this, but I just don't have the time for it. But yeah, that game like actually rips. And the more time I play with it, the more I'm like, damn, I am, despite Redfall, not being what it was, and Arcane Austin closing, I'm more in that team because, I'm remembering that like it was mandated by the higher ups that they do something different, and that's not what they signed up to do. And that bums me out because you can just tell within a couple of opening hours, Prey is maybe also an all timer, man. I don't know. I did see, Dan, that Dan Stapleton did go back and like amend their review.
He did
a little while after. Yeah.
The issue was at launch, he said this is a final review and put a 5 on it. And at the time, IGN did like reviews in progress. So people were like, well, why didn't you do a review in progress if you knew that the you didn't have like the day one patch or whatever that fixes it? I don't know.
And that does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with like Stalker 2, where like people were reviewing the version of that game that didn't go out to the public, and that was the discourse of the day. And it's like, well, how do you traverse this? Because the consumers have a different product. Yeah. Right on the money. A game that I am playing for work is I decided to jump into a game that people hated when it came out for various reasons, and that's Metal Gear Survive. I am curious 6-7 years later to see like, was this game like actually bad because we were like, fuck Konami at that time for them doing what they did to Kojima, or is there something to it? I know that Masahiro Ito, who is a creature designer in the Silent Hill series, did the creature design for this game, and I saw a clip that was like actually pretty insane. I'm like, okay, this is I'm curious enough to see how this game is, years removed. And I will say the onboarding for this game is not fun. it's kind of boring work, if I'm being real. But no surprise there. Like that game was not very beloved by a lot of people, but hopefully it gets better. But yeah, I wanted to briefly talk about Hyper Light Breaker because I can talk about it now that it's out to the public and stuff. This is a prequel to the game Hyper Light Drifter, which is a 2.5D roguelite action game, except this time it's open world and co-op. Except it's not a roguelite, it's actually more of an extraction game than a roguelite. And let me tell you, I don't think those genres mix very well. And I think this game has a lot of design issues. So much so that like there's a lot of divide in the community over like how these systems are implemented. They're straight up not good. Healing is not a thing you can even do until a couple of like runs later. You have to unlock it via meta progression. But the only way to get the resource for meta progression is by failing your runs in the game, because the only way to progress in the game at the beginning is to fail your runs. You have 4 lives to like let's say, complete the procedurally generated island that is made. And at the end of your 4 lives is when you get a progress report. And the progress report is when you get XP to level up your meta progression. And that's how the resource. So a lot of the game is like needlessly hard. And then the game doesn't explain to you how to heal once you've unlocked the ability to heal. It's another resource, and you have to exchange that resource to get 1 med kit per run. It's not good. Combat, despite it feeling good when it's working, doesn't feel that way most of the time because the game is, they want you to play it co-op, but there's performance issues with and server issues with public matchmaking. So the game is tuned for difficult play with multiple people, but as a solo player, because you don't want those issues, it's like needlessly hard, where it's like it's nonstop. You can't even like have the fun of exploring this place because the longer you spend in the game, the harder it gets. So the game is like go in, beeline towards the exit, and hopefully you get some good gear on the way. But the gear is so dumb. It is like, it's not necessarily better swords that, you know, give you better moves or do stronger attacks. You're finding perks that are like the invincibility after a dodge lasts 0.5 seconds longer. A couple of permanent upgrades you get when you first get more like meta progression, or like you have half a second longer with your stamina bar for either your glide or your hover, and that continues for like the next 3 or 4 upgrades. I'm harping on it a lot because I want this game to be good for 1.0. It's an early access, and the DNA is there. They just need a lot of fine tuning to get there, because it could be maybe a discovery of the year next year, but it's going to take some time to get there. Sorry. 2 more games I want to mention. I'm sorry, Daniel. I'm taking too much time.
You're fine.
Okay. I want to talk about Assetto Corsa real quick for a second, if I can. I got back into modding the game recently, but I got the mods that I wanted to get when I first started playing the game. And the way these mods work are they're some of the best on the publicly available to people. But these guys, like this community, they're so good at what they do that, like, you know, it's behind a Patreon, but it's $1 for some of these. And like they really do change the game once you get them. So I have like these weather scripts. I have weather scripts and I have post-processing filters and something else. I can't remember right now. But I spent $3 to get some of the best mods available, and it like changes the look and feel of my game. So I've been going into some lobbies and testing them out. And I want to mention, I didn't record a clip of this, but like, dude, the raindrops accumulating on your windshield as you're driving through like the Japan freeway just like look good, right? But something about it feels like almost a bit too real. I remember I was driving, right? It's a heavy storm. It's raining a lot. I got the wipers going and I enter a tunnel. So I shut down my wipers as I'm driving. But because weather obviously like in real life stays on the bottom of the windshield and I'm going fast, suddenly I'm getting streaks come up above my windshield as I'm driving fast and turning that I have to use my wiper again, right? And once I do that, because this tunnel is so long, part of it has like this like open area where like the sky's above. I go under it with only half my car, then half my car has the rain. So I use my wiper again, and I got this streak going, and I'm like, fuck, this game is so cool. And I'm just playing it with you know, a controller. I'm not even doing the full immersion with like a pedal and a wheel and all that stuff. It's very cool. I'm very happy to be getting back into modding that game because it's so much fun. That's what gaming's all about. Sorry, my last game that I want to talk about is Halo 4. Dan and I sat down and played through almost the entirety of it. I think we had played the prologue and then like 3 missions just before Christmas.
Yeah.
And then we had an open day and we're like, let's do it. Shout out to you. I didn't know you had stuff to do in the morning. But you stayed up late and we finished the game. And I mentioned on PXN Twitter chat that I think I'm going to have a hot take that I don't think Gage might fully agree with. I'm going to bury the lead a little bit here, but I want to have that hook right there just off the bat. I think Halo 4 gets a lot of needless shit and maybe even at that point 343 got a lot of shit. I think they batted pretty strong for this initial release. I think the one major criticism that I can agree with is the overall narrative is maybe not as strong as the original trilogy, which sure, I'll acquiesce there. Absolutely. That original trilogy is like kind of an all-timer. I wasn't gravitating towards the librarian or whatever was going. I didn't like. I agree with Gage. The lore about humanity was kind of maybe a bit too much for me. I wasn't into it, and they kind of just throw it at you. But I think the real strength of Halo 4, aside from the gunplay, which I think feels maybe the best so far of the games that I've played, is the character writing. I know that it's strong in the original trilogy, and specifically Reach. I think Reach is maybe the highlight of that, of character writing in the Halo series. But the way some of these smaller characters are written, those sort of the one-dimensional support characters, but the three-dimensional relationship of Cortana and Chief in this game, I when it takes center stage, I think that is the best bits of this game, and I think it does work absolutely. But I think my favorite part of this game is, for a 2012 game, what they do with the music and presentation of that game is maybe the best of this series so far. Countless time in many missions, it's like, damn, it is just a mission. It is me just going somewhere to shoot some guys, but like the presentation of me entering this new area is presented with like such like gravitas almost every single time, and it does evoke a feeling like, fuck, this is really strong art direction. And for that reason, I think Halo 4 might be a bit, for me, I think it was better than Halo 3.
That's crazy. That's definitely a hot. Those are you had a lot of takes in there. Some I agree with, some I don't. I think graphically, Halo 4 is very impressive. I disagree on art direction strongly. I think that's actually one of the weakest points of the game. I think it veers into over-designed manga territory in terms of losing its military sci-fi utilitarian look of Halo Reach and Halo 2, and specifically the human element I'm talking about. Like Master Chief, not a fan of how the way Master Chief looks at all in those 343 games. But graphically, for its time, 2012, I agree with you, incredibly impressive. The music in Halo games are always great. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, that's the best thing that you can hope for, is that you play this game and you come away from it with not feeling like your time has been wasted.
I think the art style thing is interesting too, because I think the art style is strong, but I think that fans of Halo have such a nostalgia and like desire to see the original trilogy art style that whenever they don't see that, they instantly get turned off. Which personally, I prefer the original trilogy art style, but I was always of the mindset of like, okay, I like this new vision as well. I don't mind it. Like, hell, I have a massive Master Chief from Halo 5 behind me and Halo 4, and like I like both art styles. I think they're definitely different, and don't necessarily evoke the same emotions like you're saying, Gage, but I feel like they both have their own strengths to them as well.
The one thing I think I'll acquiesce here a bit is that I think the original trilogy art style, like, they play with, I think, certain hues, probably the strongest of the bunch, where like when you're getting the kind of purple alien-y stuff, like they really do lean into that and crank that. And like when I look at Halo 4, despite it being so varied, like they're not as focused in the singular aspect of like, here's the thing we're really going to evoke over the course of like, you know, this entire level or two levels, and like this thing is very much identifiable and you can evoke some kind of feeling through that art style. That is maybe missing a bit in Halo 4, and I think that's what kind of Gage is kind of getting in. I'll agree with that for sure.
I think jumping off of what you just said,
had that.
Yeah, CE has the same problem, and I think what it is, and you talking about it just kind of made me think, oh, that's why I like Halo 2 and Halo 3 so much, is that Halo 2 and Halo 3 had a lot of great contrast where you're playing either on Earth, where you're seeing everything is very like brutalist and future Earth, I should say, far future Earth, or Earth colonies. Everything's very brutalist, everything's very utilitarian, and then you'll have those set pieces where you're on a Covenant ship, and like Christian said, you get to see the contrast of like these two civilizations. Everything's very bright. You got the hexagonal, alien patterns for textures and all that stuff. But in Halo C and in Halo 4, and Halo 4 specifically is the one that I think jumped out to me, is that because you're on an alien planet fighting aliens almost all the time, it feels like it kind of fell victim to that era of like, let's just put a filter on everything and everything kind of looks the samey. It's still, I mean, like, not to say that there aren't moments where it's beautiful and like the jungle levels stick out to me for having really good atmosphere, but there was no real big contrast like there was in that original trilogy, where it's like, look at all these different spaces that have different feels, different skyboxes, different kind of vibes. I feel like Halo 4 and Halo CE was missing that. I don't really remember it in Halo CE, because when you're playing Halo CE, you're kind of like, wow, what is this game? This is all new. But getting that treat in Halo 2 and 3 kind of made Halo 4 a bit of a step down, in my opinion.
You want to respond, Dan?
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think there is a lot of variety in Halo 4, especially. Like, there's a ton of UNSC places that you're exploring as well. Like, for instance, when you're literally on Forward Unto Dawn, which I know is the opening mission, but like that moment of like Requiem opening and you're on fucking Forward Unto Dawn and you're being sucked in, like that presentation was like amazing to me, and gives some of that variety. And there were other missions later as well that had some UNSC. I do agree with you for the most part, though. There is a lot of alien environments, and you're fighting aliens, so it does get a little bit like oh man, we're fighting the same enemies in the same spaces again.
Right.
But the jungle mission, I also feel like, was very well done, specifically.
If I can add to this, I don't know if we have time.
Sure. I
gotta back out.
Oh,
I gotta tap out.
shit.
All
Please continue the conversation.
I
will
won't respond.
All right. So that's it.
Halo
then.
4. Not bad.
Not bad. All right. Thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Gage. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.
See ya.
Until next time.